music is the same way. It's sort of traveling, but you don't need to hop on a plane. You can just be experiencing those different cultures at home very readily. And that's profound because then you build that understanding of perspective.
Welcome back to Out of the Box podcast, where Stu and I, your hosts, get to talk about out of the box ideas. Today, we're super excited because we have a special guest here with us, Dr. Mireles. He is a music professor, actually, from St. Mary's University, and is also the chair of the music department there. So we're super honored to have him here with us today. And before we get started, we want to invite you guys to write down and comment down below. Also like our channel and subscribe to our channel because we're also committed to continue providing awesome content for you guys. But without further ado, Dr. Mireles, how are you doing?
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. It's wonderful to talk to y'all about music today. That's obviously my passion for what I do during my lifetime, and I'm super excited to talk to you about it today.
Awesome. Yeah. And for those viewers that don't know, Dr. Mireles is an amazing euphonium player, right? Did I pronounce it right?
You did pronounce it right, yes.
Euphonium. Yeah.
Euphonium.
So,
Yeah.
uh, would you mind just sharing a little bit, maybe of your background within that? That way the viewers know a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So the euphonium is a band instrument. So it's mainly seen in, as far as we use it in America, marching band and concert band. Some people know it as the baritone. So some of y'all that maybe know band instruments may know it as the baritone, but that's the instrument. It's basically in the same voice as the trombone. So it's a tenor sound. It looks like a tuba, but just a little bit smaller. So it's part of the tuba family. The tuba euphonium are the same family. It's just half the size of a tuba, so it sounds an octave lower. But it's basically a warm, deep, dark sound that has a lot of agility. And so that's kind of what drew me to the instrument. And I've been playing it since middle school. I have all of my degrees, graduated from St. Mary's with music education as a euphonium player. Then my degrees for my master's and my doctorate, all euphonium performance and conducting. So even though I have a background of solo performance on the euphonium, I also, and actually the bulk of my job now at St. Mary's is as the conductor. And that allows me to make music with more people as opposed to just myself as a soloist with an accompanist. Being able to conduct a full ensemble it has greater opportunity for music making.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for sharing that background. And we'll put up a picture as well, still of what that euphonium looks like, so viewers can see it. But one of the really good questions that we wanted to ask, we're right now in this, holiday season, and one of the things that I love about this season is just turning on the radio and listening to the Christmas music, right? So one of the things I look forward to. And so I really wanted to focus on the topic of what does music really have to offer for society? What is the role and the value of music? We can start off with whatever point you might begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just thinking about Christmas music for our current season, I think people can relate to the kind of impact that has as far as when you're hearing it on the radio or out at a venue somewhere, just hearing that music creates a certain type of feeling or emotion or perspective or past thought for you that's um, helping you relate to that sound, relate something to that sound. But in the general sense, to where we can start, I mean, the reason I sort of dedicated my life to music making and teaching people how to make music and teaching people more about listening to music is because it really has a profound way of giving society a creative and expressive value. And in sort of general terms, I mean, we as humans, we desire to create and we desire to express in many different ways and create many different things. For instance, you all had a desire to create this platform of discussion for various topics. Um, Maybe as you get older, you want to create a certain business for yourself, or other people want to create opportunities to help others, or as musicians, we like to create experiences for people to listen to our performances and have a profound impact. So that's the sort of general creative value. But the same thing with expression is just us as humans, we have that desire to express our feelings, our thought. We're almost overwhelmed with thoughts throughout the day, especially now with devices that sort of flood us with knowledge and information. It's We're almost yearning to express our reaction to it or express our thoughts on certain things. And music does both of those in a profound way. Create the opportunity to create and the opportunity to express. Mm-hmm. And in sort of general terms, that's sort of what I feel the value is for music, because there's a reason why all cultures have music. There's a reason why all cultures have different music. There's a reason that back in ancient times, people had music on different parts of the world that didn't know each other. It's because music has become that gift that us as humans have given to each other. This platform to create and express, to create anything, to express anything. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about music, is that value that it has on society. And it's so profound, it's so enormous that it's come to a point where it's everywhere in your life. I mean, I'm sure you have a song for your intro to this, or if you have, now we have TikTok, Instagram. Those are run by song and music. It's everywhere. It's so big that it's one of those things that you almost don't even know it's there. Let me say that again. It's so big that you almost don't even notice it. But it's one of those things where if it was to be taken away, or if the music turns off, or somehow the radio gets shut off, or your AirPods lose their battery, then it's like, what happened? Something left, and it was the music. That's how grand it's become as part of our daily life.
Wow. Yeah, I really like that comment that you mentioned. It's so big that we don't realize that it's even there. Because sometimes it's true, like it's almost like breathing, right? That we know that it's there, but we just don't think about, hey, I need to breathe 25,000 times a day. We just don't intentionally do it. But yeah, music has become such a big part of our culture that, like you said, it's on TikTok, it's on social media, it's on every video, and it helps connect something deeper, right? That you were saying, like, and one of the things that, having studied music as well, is that it connects almost like the logical part of the mind and the emotional part of things, right? It helps kind of tie those two in. And I think that's one of the things that I haven't seen, or at least personally haven't encountered other things that connect both sides of that. Just because, like you said, musicians create musical experiences for people to almost, and some musicians have mentioned that it's almost like a transcendence experience, right? Is that something that you personally have seen as a musician and also teaching music to others?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely transformative, transcending experiences. I'll expand on that in a second, but before I forget, I wanted to talk a little bit more what you said about breathing, because I like to relate that to what you said about breathing. Because, like you said, breathing, we almost, it's involuntary. We almost don't notice it. But if you focus on your breathing and take the time to slow down and focus on the breath, that's a profound experience too. That can be very calming, um, and a sort of another transformative experience. So with music always just sort of being there, just like information always being there, but music always being there. If you take the time to slow down and focus on a piece of music, then it can have an even more then you can have that transformative experience like you were talking about, as opposed to just being background noise or background music.
Mm.
And that's why it's important to go to live concerts or live performances, because it gets you in that environment where you can shut everything off and focus on your breathing, focus on your music listening. So I like relating it to breathing, as you just said. And then on top of that, when you said relating it to the logical and the emotional part of your thinking, that's the subjective versus objective knowledge. And yeah, absolutely. That's where music lives. It sort of intertwines and connects all of those things in a unique way of thinking. There's certain details that you can learn, or skills you can learn in school, or you can study or read about. You can learn facts or learn certain procedures, and then you can make decisions on, okay, this is best for this because of this. But what are those bigger questions that you have? And you all have worked on some of those in your other episodes. But what are those other things that you should be thinking about in your life? For instance, what do you value the most in life? Or is this the person I want to marry? Or is is this a business I want to start? Um, should I move my family to this other opportunity? Should I go back to school? Should I pursue a graduate degree? All of those are different levels of thinking that you can't just find the answer to um, in a book or looking at data points. The person that you value the most, the person you love the most and want to spend the rest of your life with, that's a different type of decision making. And that's where music lives. And so if you're experiencing music in a profound way like that, you can train yourself to be stronger in that area of the mind, to where you can start thinking more powerfully that way, as opposed to just thinking. Thinking logically is positive, obviously, but to go beyond just data points is more profound.
Wow. And like going off of that, I know we were going to talk a little bit about the transformative side, but going off of that, you know, it makes me think, so is music in itself, for those who develop a taste for it, does that lead to maybe better decision making in terms of like being able to make better decisions with your gut feeling, I guess you can say, like where that mesh of like not knowing how to like when you have to make those decisions that are not just purely logical, where you have to have some sort of emotion tied to it, you know, can being a better music lover help with that? Or do you have to be a music creator or creative?
Oh yeah, I definitely don't believe you have to be a music creator. You can be a music listener and have those profound experiences. I think, well, just to unpack it first, the important thing is to be listening to many different types of music. It's the same reason why people should travel. Not everybody has the means to travel over the world, but it's important, because then you start to gain better understanding, better compassion. You learn different perspectives. You meet people, obviously, but then you start to learn that, oh, these people that are over there in a different place, we value the same thing, really. And I can immerse myself in their culture and realize, oh, we have a lot of the same things. And so that's why it's important to travel. So music is the same way. It's sort of traveling, but you don't need to hop on a plane. You can just be experiencing those different cultures at home very readily. And that's profound because then you build that understanding of perspective, because every decision that you make, no matter its importance, has impact on many different angles and levels. Uh, so, for instance, if you're a big CEO of a company and there's a decision you need to make of you need to lay off 1,000 people or something like that, well then you need to think about, okay, should I do that because that will then turn things a certain way, or should I just give myself a pay cut but then that may turn something a certain way, or should I, if I'm at a university, should I eliminate, if I eliminate this subject for university, then that means the community won't have access to that learning. We won't be innovating in that area anymore, and that can have a profound impact on the community. So,
And it's almost
in those,
like music, and music and the arts get always left out, especially in public schools, right? Like it's always like one of the last things sometimes the people think of, right? It's like, oh, keep the sports, but take away the music program or take away the theater program, you know?
yeah. I mean, at least where we are in San Antonio, I haven't really experienced that as far as making cuts. But as far as allocating resources, sure, they can go to other areas because those are perceived, and rightfully so, as having higher importance, because it's the new um, it's the new career path, or the new way of innovation with technology. There always be things changing with technology or ways of life, um, or politics, but the gift of music has been the thing that has um, been permeant uh, throughout time, even before recorded time. I mean, obviously, we've gotten better at recording and documenting our music, but music itself is that gift that is sort of human gift to itself, I believe.
Yeah. And so in that sense, like whenever like, it's almost like it can be a gift to someone, right? Writing a song, uh, it's so valuable to that point where it can be almost like a message to someone, right? And
Oh,
yeah, I think that's such a big beauty to it, right? Like it can show to somebody else. Like I just love when somebody, like a couple or something, like somebody gets up and starts singing to their loved one, because they can fully show how much sometimes like they love them, like not only with the lyrics that they're saying, but with the emotion that they're carrying off. They're just pouring their heart out. um and so it's a beautiful scene that, to the point we had mentioned before, it's almost transcendent, right? Transcending past, the physicality into what might be love, or what might be a strong emotion towards someone.
absolutely. And you don't even necessarily need to write the song or write the lyric or perform the song or perform the piece of music. You can just choose the right song. I mean, how powerful is it to be standing in a big room with the love of your life, dancing with them intimately with a song that holds high importance for you and them? I mean, what's more beautiful than that? That's that's something that anyone can bring forth, as create that experience for themselves and their loved one with that song, and experiencing the sound and beauty of love together in that moment. And you don't need to create the song to do that. It's a gift from that composer or that songwriter or that performer for anyone who wants to experience it.
Yeah. How about you, Stu? Do you have any thoughts on what we've been talking about?
Yeah, I definitely think that music can have an effect on people. I mean, psychologically, for sure. I mean, certain music can make people feel sad. It can change their mood. You know, it can make them, even maybe feel angry or just even more energetic or happier, all the different emotions. So I think it's kind of fascinating how a combination of certain sounds can make people actually feel. I mean, you want to talk about transcendence. I mean, it's like the music is just making you feel something. It's changing the way your brain is working and perceiving. There's one thing I was thinking about though that I think it'd be interesting to hear your perspective on as our guest is like me and Jose tried to start like a rock band kind of thing, and I never realized how hard it is to play in a band. Like it really, like you look at other people doing, you're like, wow, that looks, yeah, I could do that. But then it's like trying to sync everyone up, trying to sync the drums up with the guitar and with the singing, and even that, but also just trying to balance the volume of everything too, especially if you don't have like, the right equipment and all that for, audio stuff. I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, I mean, it's really hard to get the flow going, to kind of just all work together, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything you said is a real reason why everybody should experience live music because there's a lot that goes into it. Um, I mean, for example, Christmas is coming up, and I just got asked to play in a brass quintet for this church downtown for their Christmas Eve mass. Now they gave me the music, and I can practice it, and then I'll play it that day. But to everybody looking on, it looks like I just got the music, I sat down, and I started playing it with everyone. When in essence, that is what's happening in that moment because we're not going to rehearse. We're just going to sit down and we're going to sound great because we're professional musicians. But there's so many years of practice and experience and just me sitting in a room learning my instrument, learning how to be in tune, mastering rhythms, mastering keys, mastering time signatures, timbre, um, experience performing with others. There's so much involved that people looking on don't see. So, in essence, I am just that day going to drive over there and play, and it's going to be beautiful. But there was all of this that happened before it, years of practice to do that. So when you're setting up a band like that, yeah, it's wonderful that you're able to appreciate the amount of effort that goes into that performance or that recording even because recordings take a ton of time. So for instance, my solo album, it's an hour long. It's Matthew Mireles Prometheus. If you want to check out my euphonium solo album,
Well,
Prometheus.
We'll promote
Yeah,
it.
I got you. It's an hour's worth of music, but it took me the better part of 2 years from when I started working on it to when it actually released, and lots of hours and hours with many different regards as far as the recording session, the editing, the mastering, the mixing, writing the liner notes, the production around it. So yeah, but it's just like it's similar to what I do as the chair of music at St. Mary's University.
Mhm.
I take great value in knowing that my hard work, my efforts, which many people don't even really know what I'm doing. The students don't know what I'm doing, kind of paperwork or behind the scenes. But that doesn't matter. I just know, and I take comfort in knowing that my hard work and efforts have helped enable this environment for those students to have this transcendent musical experience, performing or learning, and then the listeners having the same impact from the music. Obviously, I'm not the only one involved in making all of this happen, but I take a lot of pride in all of the work I have to do that sets up that opportunity for musical success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how much work and effort goes into it, like you said. And yeah, music has a chain reaction effect on the audience. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to kind of go back to what we had mentioned. I think it's so interesting how music sometimes, how we were saying like making decisions, I've heard a lot of people, and I've personally had this also, where music or some lyrics just kind of put into reality like something that I wanted to say but quite didn't wasn't able to put it into words or put it into music. But when I listen to a song and I hear it, I'm just like, yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear, or exactly how I feel right now. And it's just sometimes so interesting how music helps organize, right, things in the brain or something. It helps organize thoughts or things that might have been so separated from each other. Musicians find a way to find a mix, like a cross path between both. And it's like, wow, I never thought I would see it this way, but it just makes so much sense. And
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it just music reminds us that we're not alone. And I usually tell students, we're in the people business because everything we do has impact on others. Everything we do musically is going to have a profound impact on others. And as you said, you're listening to something and it starts to put things in perspective for you. That's because maybe somebody else has already had a similar experience through love or through passion or anything, and they can express that, and then you connect with it maybe in a way that you didn't realize you were connecting with it at first because you had all of your thoughts sort of scattered. Because us, when we go through life, we have all this traumatic experiences and they sort of build up and we don't know how to make sense of it. But then we can hear a beautiful piece of music or a profound lyric of somebody else that had a similar experience and then put it into connection and perspective for us in a profound way.
Yeah. And I know we're close to time, but is there any final thoughts that you would like to leave the audience with in terms of like things that you feel are make music an important place, or things that you would like, or maybe that you teach your students about music, maybe for those that are new to like understanding and listening to music, something that you like to leave them with?
Absolutely. So, just to review what we said about how music is sort of always there, always in the background on social media and everywhere, I would just implore everyone to take the time to listen to a large work, a symphonic work, or a band work, some large work that's more than just 3 minutes. Something that's a large symphony orchestra piece of music. You can go experience it live, or you can experience it at home by watching a video. But take the time to, as we were talking about focusing on our breathing, take the time to sit and focus on a profound piece of music. It's similar to, well, like the first, or in 2015, I took a trip to see the Grand Canyon. And anyone who's ever been there, the first time you look at the Grand Canyon, you're speechless. You're overwhelmed by its enormity. You're just in awe of what you see, that you can't believe what's there and how long it took to make that space. It's different than seeing it in a picture. It's different from just seeing a video, a real quick 3-minute video of the Grand Canyon or a flyby. Just standing before a wonder of the earth that way has enormous impact. And that's what a grand piece of music will have for you also. It'll be a different experience than just these short little 20-second songs that we mostly hear nowadays. Take some time to listen to music in a way where you're focusing on it. You're not distracted by the notifications from your device. It's the same thing with the Grand Canyon. When you're there, I mean, no device is going to distract you from just the gaze you have on the vastness. I mean, it's the same thing as if you're looking upon Niagara Falls for the first time, or have you ever seen the tall redwood trees in Muir Woods, California, the Rocky Mountains, anything like that? That you'll never. I mean, obviously, people are taking pictures with their phones and stuff, but you'll never see someone distracted by other things when standing at the foot of these magnificent spaces. And you can have that same profound, enormous impact with symphonic works like this. So if you look for grand pieces of music, symphony orchestras, I always recommend Mahler's Second Symphony. It's a very long piece of music. It goes through, it basically tells an enormous story. Not literally, but it's very long and impactful and profound. And by the time you get to the end, if you want to skip to the end, it's okay. Maybe like the last 5-6 minutes, experience listening to that, and that will move you in a way that you've never been moved before. Just as you would gaze on a beautiful landscape, an enormous mountain, it will just transcend anything else you're thinking about, put different things into perspective for you, take all your worries away, and give you a different mental health that maybe you hadn't experienced in a while. So I would challenge you to do that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Mireles. And once again, what was the name of your work that you did?
Yeah, so you can find my album on anything, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, but it's called Prometheus. So it's Matthew Mireles, Prometheus. It's all music for euphonium, solo. One piece is for euphonium and string orchestra, 2 pieces with euphonium and piano, and 1 piece with euphonium and wind ensemble. And it came from my time when I was at the University of Wisconsin, where I did my doctorate. And all of the music is composed by my professor, John Stevens. I was honored to perform his music. The first piece of music is called Prometheus and the Gift of Fire. So that's why I titled the album Prometheus. But I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, we'll definitely share it in one of the links, or we'll put it here in one of the videos so people can see it. But thank you very much for coming on, Dr. Mireles. Thank you guys for watching. If you have come to the end of this podcast, we really appreciate your time. And we also invite you to go check out the different works that Dr. Mireles has put out. Also, let us know down below, what is your experience of music? Was there something that resonated with you in this podcast? Let us know down below in the comments, and also subscribe to our channel, because we will continue providing amazing content, have amazing guests like today. So stay tuned, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.